Building cars that are ahead of their time has been the driving force behind Audi since the beginning. And its philosophy, Vorsprung durch Technik, embodies Audi's pioneering, innovating spirit and its enthusiasm for technology, which is at its forefront. In 1980, Audi changed the world of cars forever, stepping into the spotlight at the Geneva Motor Show, bringing onto the stage the first car of its kind, the first Audi Quattro. The four-wheel drive technology was incredibly exotic for the time. Rear-wheel drive was the popular choice, front-wheel drive was considered at the cutting edge, and then came four-wheel drive in a saloon car. People were shaking their heads and wondering how we were going to sell even 500 cars. But after 11 years, 11,425 cars were sold, showing that the concept worked. And today, 33% of all Audi cars sold come with quattro drive, and that's really something. Over 3.3 million all-wheel drive cars have been produced by Audi so far. However, the origins of quattro drive in 1997 was actually a happy matter of circumstance. Testing the Audi 100 was a big thing back then. Those cars had about 200 horsepower, and the board of directors were taking a test drive at Arctic temperatures with the development engineers in Finland. It was then that they realized that a small vehicle equipped with all-wheel drive would perform extremely well on snow and ice. The Volkswagen Iltis, an effective off-road military vehicle, was the car in question. One of the development engineers had a Volkswagen Iltis there at the time. What really surprised him was the performance in the curves, and especially accelerating out of the curves. The car with front-wheel drive had problems, but the Iltis performed receptively with agility. Then the head of chassis development came up with the idea that technology with a more powerful engine would be an interesting project. He thought, let's try and see. A car which distributes the driving force over all four tires can absorb more lateral guided force on each tire than a car with a rear or front-wheel drive can, meaning its traction and cornering ability are vastly superior. The first Audi Quattro boasted 200 horsepower and reached a top speed of 137 miles an hour. Sporty and dynamic, representative of Audi. The Quattro made its way to public awareness with the Audi 80. That was the initial spark, although the model wasn't exactly a bargain. The entire competition followed our lead over the next couple of years by installing four-wheel drives, but not as well as us because they simply converted conventional rear-wheel drive into four-wheel drive. So that's how the Quattro became an integral part of the Audi model range, reaching the wide masses of car drivers. And no one could deny Quattro's success after this television commercial came out in 1986. The next great development came with the Torsen differential. Torsen is a contraction of torque and sensing, torque sensitivity. It has an automatic mechanical detection to ascertain whether an axle is carrying more force than it should, and then automatically transfers that force to another axle that can absorb it. This mechanical release was the next big step for the driver, because it was a system that independently distributed the driving force. Unparalleled success in Quattro models wasn't the only triumph that Quattro enjoyed in the 80s. Quattro power transmission literally shook the world of motorsports.
Dawn is started in front of me, 1 minute in front of me, and when I had done 7 Ks, I passed him like anything, you know. It was a sort of very tight bend, and then maybe half a kilometer straight, and I passed him maybe 100 kilometers different.
Racing legend Walter Röhrl is still considered the best rally car racer of all time, and it was he who led the way into the history books with the Sport Quattro. One of the most fascinating stories about the Audi Quattro took place at Pikes Peak, Colorado in the US. It was a mountain race over natural roads and gravel. The record to beat was Michel Mouton's top time in the traditional quattro. Walter Röhrl broke that record in the S1 with its more than 600 horsepower. It was the first car that I was afraid to be a co-pilot in. You have to understand that this car accelerated from 0 to 62 miles an hour in 2.9 seconds over loose ground.
Auf losem Untergrund hat das Auto von 0 auf 100 in 2,9 Sekunden beschleunigt.
The motorsport's victories weren't exclusively reserved, however, for the sport quattro. In 1998, quattro technology expanded into the compact car segment with an individual solution. Our basic approach at Audi is every car line has its own quattro. For the compact car range with transverse engines such as the A3 and TT, we created a quattro drive with an electronically controlled multiple disc clutch which sits on the rear axle. The innovation is that when the discs are pressed together by oil pressure, the driving torque is continuously transferred, 100% in extreme cases, to the rear axle. Quattro drive continued to evolve with massive leaps and bounds in the early 21st century, becoming ever more developed and elaborate over shorter and shorter intervals. In 2005, we incorporated a center differential with an asymmetric dynamic torque distribution to the RS4. This asymmetric dynamic torque distribution gives 60% to the rear axle and 40% to the front axle. This provides excellent driving dynamics and vehicle handling. It's slightly focused more on the rear, and it's simply more agile and dynamic. In 2007, an extraordinary Audi vehicle needed an exceptional solution for the quattro all-wheel drive. The high-performance sports car, the Audi R8, holds a special place amongst the Audi models, even in its packaging and power transmission. The mid-engine is placed just before the rear axle, and directly behind this is the transmission. Due to the special V8 or V10 mid-engine layout, the Audi R8 has a specially tailored quattro drive. The core contains viscous couplings with lamellae, which operates with the viscous fluid. Also, due to the mid-engine layout, the Audi R8 is designed to be extremely back-heavy. Only 15% of the torque is regulated to the front axle when operated normally. In 2008 and 2010 saw further developments to the ambitious and dynamic sport car segment, marked firstly by the development of the new sport differential in the Audi S4 all-wheel drive. The sport differential is the icing on the cake of the quattro drive. It makes it possible not only to distribute the torque between the rear and the front, but also between the left and the right. The sport differential presses the car, which because of its inertia wants to go straight at first, right into the curves. That's because there's more torque on the outside wheel. It's really like driving on rails, like on carving skis. The latest evolutionary step in quattro came in 2010 with the new power machine Audi RS5, the crown gear differential. The crown gear's center differential is linked to the vectoring torque control in the RS5. That's a smart software solution from the brake management. Regardless of how the driver steers, the system sends braking energy to all four wheels to improve the handling. I like to call it a smart combination of mechanics and electronics. This concentrated use of high technology enables precise and controlled handling and increased traction, as in the Audi Quattro tradition. And that's how it will continue. The Quattro will constantly evolve, but will also revolutionize it. Electrification offers great opportunities for the Quattro as well. Those are the challenges that still face us, but the Audi engineers have some tricks up their sleeves in this area as well. We have a lot to look forward to.